because empathy and judgment cannot exist in the same place. So that's perfect, and again, I mean, it is and you tell me, you're the expert, but it is a warning signal. It is saying, it's kind of like anger. It's saying, hey, pay attention, but it doesn't need to rule our decisions. So, if I have a CEO and they're looking at a big, HRIS, a human resources information system, and they're thinking about putting this in place, and they're like, no, I don't want the old one we have. It's dying, it's falling apart, but it's good enough. It's good enough. There needs to be a recognition of, is this actually logic speaking, or am I just afraid of the change this is going to take? Because a lot of the fear that happens in large organizations centers around change. People don't like change, and with technology, it's happening faster and faster, especially post-COVID. So being able to assess and say, yeah, maybe this isn't really logical to continue to hang on to this just because it's how we've always done it and it's worked, but maybe it's time that we move a little bit beyond. How do you talk to people that maybe need that little nudge and the understanding of the difference between really the conscious and the unconscious mind and the role each is playing?
That's a really great point. And I think this is a good chance for me to talk about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Yes,
And
please.
our primal reactions to those, these were designed when our lives were in danger with wild animals and things like that. But in this modern world, we have a different response. So when we're in fight, we or others are going to react with anger, control, defensiveness. They're not being aggressive. They're trying to regain their safety. They're in that state of fear. Now, when we're in flight, we want to avoid things, run away from conflict or withdrawing. Now, they're not dismissing you. They're just overwhelmed with that fear and unable to make the decision of how to respond. When somebody is in freeze, they shut down. I mean, how many times have we heard someone saying, I'm stuck, I can't move, and things go blank and we disassociate. Now they're not disinterested, they're immobilized with fear. They really can't make that decision of what to do next. And then fawn is something that we don't talk about very often, but it is so common. I've experienced it so many times myself. And this is when we're people pleasing and appeasing others in order to avoid that conflict. And they're not, when we see people in that state, they're not fake. They're trying to prevent harm by staying agreeable. Now, I'm sure I've just mentioned all four of those, and we see people in those states of fear every day. Everybody's got their go-to response to fear, whether it's anger, whether it's running away, whether it's shutting down, or whether it's people pleasing. And it's easy to not realize that is actually fear. And once we can see the problem, name the problem, okay, it's fear, then we can start to go, okay, I don't necessarily have to respond that way. There's another way. There's courage. We can find courage in order to move on.
So how do you have people find that courage? How do you get them to take the next step?
We all have that courage in it, and it comes from embracing that adrenaline, that hormone that I mentioned before that comes with it. And that adrenaline feeling can feel very uncomfortable. That's when we're in that uncomfortable feeling, and they say get outside your comfort zone. And ultimately the adrenaline is going to kick in, and we need to be aware of that, like being aware that our hunger has just set in, our tummy's rumbling, realize, okay, I am fearful. I can feel my adrenaline. I'm starting to sweat. I'm nervous. I'm shaking. But also telling ourselves that this is a superpower. I've suddenly got better vision. I've just become more observant. I've just
Yeah.
become actually internally strong to take action. So when we're in that state of adrenaline, that is the time where we can find that courage to do something. But this is something we should practice. It should be something that we can actually practice on the weekend by giving ourselves a challenge.
Yeah.
I love challenges because a challenge gives us the chance to do something that we haven't done before, and we can have that possibility of winning, of feeling good about ourselves, of building confidence, of being proud of ourselves. That's why athletes are so driven to compete, because we love challenging ourselves all the time. It's not for that plastic trophy that isn't real gold. It's that feeling that we get when we actually achieve our goals. And so by setting ourselves some achievable challenges, and that's why a lot of businesses, the smart leaders out there, take their staff on adventures. They take them on something that is going to challenge people, take them outside their comfort zone, whether it's hiking up a mountain, whether it's going to a theme park and riding the roller coaster and everybody's screaming, or doing something that is outside the norm, something that challenges us and puts us outside our comfort zone, because we
Yeah.
can practice finding that courage, and we can learn to really enjoy that feeling of achievement with the challenge. And then we can take it back to work, back into our lives, and the same thing will want to happen. We will feel the fear, we'll feel the adrenaline, and then rather than seeing that fear as a threat and wanting to run away, we can see that fear as a challenge. This is our opportunity to feel good again. And boy, that is an addiction or a habit that we all want to get.